So I was asked to make a video on the difference between downstreaming and soft washing with a metering system. So a buddy of mine is just getting into the business, and he's got a ton of questions like I did in the beginning, and I'm going to make this video to help him out, and maybe it'll help somebody else out. So downstreaming, what you're doing when you're downstream is you're using your pressure washer to get chemical, chlorine, degreaser, whatever, onto a surface, onto a house, and you're downstreaming it through a downstream injector. Water comes out of your pressure washer and goes through here. If this is closed, water diverts into here, and it pulls from this hose. This hose sits inside of a bucket with whatever chemical you're using, mostly chlorine, and then it comes out, it goes out to your gun. Now, that's going to dilute the chlorine. So if you have straight 12% chlorine in this bucket, the water coming through your hose is going to be the majority of what comes out of the gun. It's going to dilute the chlorine down to like less than 2%. I'm not positive on the percentages, but I know it's less than 2%, which is perfect for a house wash and most things that you're cleaning. However, if you need to clean a roof or some concrete or anything that requires, even a house that has some like bad lichen growing on it, if you want to make quick work of it and you want something stronger than the downstream mix that you can get with a downstream injector, there are two ways you can do that. You can do it with a X-Jet. I'm not going to talk about that because I've literally never used one and I don't even know how they work. I have an idea how they work, but I've just never used one. I'm not going to talk on something I'm not an expert on or positive on. The other way is a metering system. That's a metering valve, proportioner, whatever you want to call it. This is a metering system. It meters your chemicals. So you have your water valve here. Now remember, this doesn't have anything to do with your power washer. This isn't hooked up to your power washer at all. You got your water valve, your soap valve, and your chem valve, chlorine. This valve is going down into a chlorine tank. Kind of ignore this. I have this set up so that I can switch it back and forth from neutralizer to chlorine. I like to use that to flush out my pumps, but not every system's like that. Not everybody wants to have that set up that way. So this will allow you. This tank is filled with straight 12.5% chlorine. This pump will allow you to spray just that on to whatever it is that you're spraying. It's dedicated. You can pull just the chlorine if you wanted to. I don't recommend spraying straight chlorine on much, but some applications it's necessary. However, if you're doing like a roof or concrete, roof 5 to 6%, concrete 3%, what you're going to do is you're going to turn your water valve all the way on, and you're going to turn your chlorine valve all the way on, and that's 6% because you're cutting it 50-50, water, chlorine. Crack your soap tank a little bit. I don't even have this hooked up yet. I just set this up today, actually. It's a new system from what I had last year. So you're going to crack your soap a little bit if you want to use soap. Some people don't. If you wanted to use less chlorine, you want 3%, just meter that down halfway. That's 3%. 2%, get the picture. I also use this to fill my buckets, so I actually fill my downstream bucket with this, but that's for another conversation. So this is all being pumped through this pump or whatever pump you decide to use. There's a lot of different options out there, but this is a 12 volt Delavan 7 gallon a minute pump, and it just connected to the metering system. You basically meter up, set up whatever dilution ratio you want. Turn your little pump on. It's going to pull all that chemical, water, whatever you have set up through here and down through your hose, and then that's going to be hooked up to your soft wash hose, which again, mine is this. I have 5/8 hose set up, and I don't have a nozzle on this. I'm actually in the market to buy a new nozzle and gun configuration for this setup, and I'm not really sure which one I'm going to use yet, but this is going to be very low pressure. If you have it set up right, you should be able to get like 50, 60 feet. There's systems out there that get 75 feet. You can spray a roof from the gutter line pretty much with this system. You can clean the whole roof, and you're not going to be putting any pressure on it. And if you, let's say you have a house that has like a ton of lichen or something growing on it, you can use this. I like to use this system to spray a higher mix on there just to make it melt off a lot faster. Just be careful when you're doing that, because when you get into that high mixture of the chlorine, sodium hypochlorite, you can damage a lot of stuff, and you just got to be careful with it. So in a nutshell, that is the soft wash system, metering system versus downstreaming.